spice island of the West. And in the West Indies, I say Grenada, please. Overwhelmingly glad we are to be of our country. Foreigners have recommended it highly.
Welcome, brothers. Welcome, sisters. Welcome to our program On Target. And as usual, as soon as we start this program, you could pick up the telephone and give us a call. Remember, we are on Real FM 91.9, 91.5, We Noise FM, Brooklyn, New York, 94.9. We are on YouTube and Facebook. But you must like the program. Like the program and subscribe to Real FM. That is the radio program, whether you like it or not, is from the rural Grenada. And they dare when everybody was hesitant and doubting. So give us a blind, give us the support. And this morning, we can speak about any topic. A number of issues have gone on. I've heard my brother, Comrade Chester Humphrey, and my brother Willie on a program. And I agree with them. I agree with what they say. But I have problem with what they did not say. If my brother Chester Humphrey is in a program of that, on speaking on that issues, there are something I expect him to say. He spoke the truth, he expressed his opinion, but he left out some truth. And I would like Chester Humphrey to revisit that program and don't leave out nothing. The Speaker of the House invited the deliverer of the budget, who was Dennis Cornwall, Minister of Finance, to conclude the debate. Let me repeat that. And I hope Brother Chester in me. The Speaker of the House invited Dennis Cornwall to conclude the debate. The Prime Minister was not in the House. The Speaker of the House don't have to go and look for anybody. You're supposed to be in Parliament. If you're not in Parliament, it means that you don't want to speak. You don't have to speak on the debate. So when the Speaker of the House invited Dennis Cornwall to speak, there was no other person in the House that wanted to speak. Brother Chester Humphrey, the Speaker of the House, don't have to go and look for anybody. In Parliament, all men are equal. In Cabinet, the Prime Minister is no equal than those others. The Prime Minister is the first among equals in Parliament, in Cabinet, but not in Parliament. That's why in Parliament we say the parliamentary representative. Not Kit Mitchell. Not Dick Mitchell. Parliamentary representative. None is greater than the other in Parliament. Chester, I know you know that. Perhaps you forget. In your exuberance to give Dr. Kita Loblu, you must forget. And all of us could forget. Dennis Cornwall started to conclude the debate. He immediately went to statement made by the opposition leader, Francis Pierre. The Speaker of the House interrupted Dennis Cornwall while he was concluding the debate. And the Speaker had a private caucus, which is unheard of in Parliament, with Dennis Cornwall. Dennis Cornwall was he listen to the Speaker, and he was he say, Lord have mercy, let me respect this Speaker in the House this afternoon. And he went back to the podium and continued to conclude the debate. The Speaker of the House took a recess. He said 3 minutes. They must last a little more than 3 minutes, but it wasn't long.
Introducing CarPlay.
And here now, based upon the information I have, in the caucus, in the recess, they agreed with the opposition members and members of parliament or what? They agreed that Dennis Cornwall would continue to conclude the debate. Based upon the information I have, the Prime Minister was not in the recess. So Chester, what you say was true, but you leave out a piece of truth. I don't agree with that. When a man of your caliber speak, don't leave out truth. Because if you leave out piece of truth, the public don't have that information. And your opinion, being that long serving in the Senate, in politics, in the history of this country, in the trade union, your opinion is important and invaluable. So I say you tamper with the truth. You spoke the truth, but you leave out some truth. The Speaker of the House is biased. I believe that the opposition, if it was me and Michael Baptiste that was in the House, we would have moved a motion on no confidence in the Speaker and get an opportunity to tell the public a lot of things that the Speaker is doing that they don't know. I take strong objection to intelligentsia, academia, or a success story when they tamper with the truth. A few days ago, I told a brother of mine, you're speaking the truth. But the problem is you mix up all the truth in a container. So you're picking a piece of truth that happened 20 years ago and presenting the truth that happened now. You're confusing the public. The Speaker of the House is biased. Once the Dennis Cornwall stood up to conclude the debate, you don't have to go and look for the Prime Minister, the opposition leader. And that is what Keith Mitchell was telling you. The man stood up to conclude the debate. And after you spoke to him, he still come back on the podium to conclude the debate. And when you had the recession, you agree. Keith said, no, the man started already, I don't want to talk. You agree that he should conclude the debate. Chester Humphrey, go back on the radio and speak on that. Come on, Jess. Go back on the radio and speak on that. And while I'm on that, another issue brewing in the Caribbean. Mia Mockley, Ralph Gonzalez, Chester Humphrey, my sister Carish Charles, and others jumping upon it. That have to do with the Cuban medical assistance program. Now, Grenada must appreciate, like, the assistance provided to us by Cuba over the years. Sending the medical doctors, training our medical personnel, providing medical assistance. But you must tell the public the truth. Is Cuba using the medical program as a means to obtain foreign exchange from the United States of America? What amount of money? Don't tell us the quantum, give us the percentage. What percentage in the quantum have to be paid to the doctors, and what percentage in the quantum have to be paid to Cuba, to the Cuban government? Every government who participate in this medical program, they have to pay the government a certain percentage and pay the individuals who come a certain percentage. The United States of America say that is wrong. That is exploitation of workers. Now you have an embargo going on in the United States over Cuba for over 60 years. Caribbean government, every opportunity they have been asking to lift the embargo. I wonder if Grenadians and other Caribbean people know why the Americans have the embargo. What they say that Cuba must do for them to lift the embargo. We must know that. I see some Grenadians jumping up. The United States is wicked. They have an embargo on Cuba. What the United States is demanding that Cuba must do to lift the embargo? Free all political prisoners. I agree with that. Free all the political prisoners. If you experimented with a system, and after 60 years, you have the people languishing and dying in prison, well, the system no good. After 60 years, you no good. Freedom of the press. Freedom for trade union to function. Trade union can function in Cuba. That is what the U.S. is asking you. Free all political prisoners in Cuba. You have women going to demonstration because they pick up their man, they're in prison 5 years. So they are joke about. Caribbean leaders must not only be in solidarity with the government of Cuba, they must be in solidarity with the people of Cuba. How much prisoners Cuba have in prison? How many political prisoners? Without charge, without trial, and without an opportunity to defend themselves. Are challenging the doctor in journalism, the photogenic one, are challenging you all. You all seem to have the closest relationship with the government now. So you have access to the government. And the cyclists are charging you all. Find out what percentage of money that governments agree to pay the government of Cuba and what percentage they pay the medical doctors. Could the family of the doctors come with them on the country they're visiting? Or is it a fact that the families are held hostage when they are out in other countries? So in other words, yes, caller, welcome.
Hey, good afternoon, Mr. Pierre.
Yes, my brother.
How are you?
Good.
Weekend. Yeah, Mr. Pierre, I want to send out some information there for this evening. The People Parliament will take place at the Happy Secondary School. The committee will be responding to the 2025 budget. Alright, so I'm asking the people, Senator Doctors, come out and listen to what the committee has to say concerning the budget, because they try to stop him from speaking on the budget last Tuesday. But Mr. Pierre, they were saying, when a man try to close a door, God will open a brother door for you to speak and let the people go and compete in Martinique. Those what the budget that the government, the First Minister present, if there is anything there for them, or if their life will be better, or if their life will be get worse and worse. And the committee will be outlined, because this evening at the Happy Secondary School, 6 p.m. So please come out and listen to what the committee has to say. It will be live on some other radio station. So
thank you, caller. NNP have to be careful with this People Parliament. It sounds revolutionary. It sounds as a revolution. We have to be careful. All the communists in Grenada headways. The Marxist-Leninist headways. And one have to be careful with the language you use. There must be a clear line of demarcation between those who believe in the democratic process and those who want to jail people and put them in jail. And that's why I am asking Caribbean leaders, inform the public properly. I hear a lot of emotional outbursts from you all. A lot of combative outbursts. You just joking with Donald Trump here. Donald Trump speak about visas. But all Donald Trump has to do is to put 25% tax on all transactions that go to the Caribbean. And he like 25%. Remuneration 25%. And he say if importing Budweiser, because we tax goods that come in from United States of America higher than if it come from CARICOM countries. Why do you think we can get banks from Guyana? Because we protecting Caribbean. So we can't bring banks from Guyana, they put too much tax on it. That is what Donald Trump talking about. And I agree with him. I don't like his methodology, kind of brutish and untactful. But you're right. He say United States is the biggest, the bully they're beating up the most. Yes, scholar, welcome. So you the leaders, yes, scholar, welcome.
Good day, sir.
Yes, my brother, welcome.
Well, yeah, good topic. But something I want to say, I think Chester Humphrey admit, one thing I know he admit, that the speaker don't know the rules of the House. He said if the speaker seems to be making some mistake, and that's a big setback for a country. You have a speaker of the House who don't know the rules of the House. Because he said the speaker had us to speak under section 6. He went to section 40, which was wrong. So I heard he explain that yesterday. First time I heard he explain something. 2, Mr. Pierre, the victimization get worse. Especially around the area, St. Patrick and other places. Because the Prime Minister laid the trend, he opened the door. So people, members of the party, activists said, that's the best statement they could have ever made. And they're doing what he said. Looking for the people. I'm surprised to hear a minister like Leonard Andrew saying there is a lot of work we can get people. When they ask him where is the lot of job, construction. Ladies could get if they want, men could get, where else? Tourism. They ask him what's about sustainable job, he can't answer. Construction for now, take what they get. It is obvious that if a hurricane passes in a country, after that there will be a lot of construction. When we had Ivan in 2004, there was a lot of construction job after a while. So this is not no surprise. But they boast about it. Another thing again, they said, they're trying to defend the Prime Minister's statement by saying he had, if NNP was corrupt, they have to corrupt too. If NNP was giving people job first, they have to. Well, why you have to do what the former government do? You say you come to do better. This is why I'm calling on Grenadians to your program. To don't take no fancy talk. It is evidence enough right now to see this government has failed miserably.
Yeah, man.
They need to go back into a training school before they could manage Grenada. They cannot manage the affairs of Grenada.
Yeah.
It's not about you like him or who young or who this. You have to go back to a training school. He don't know what is going on in this country. So
yes, scholar. Yeah, brother. Thank you. You have a caller? Yes, scholar, welcome.
Yes.
Mr. Pierre, good afternoon.
Yes, my brother.
Mr. Pierre, the United States of America has no moral authority to call on the Cuban government to free any detainees that are imprisoned at the moment. When they had the revolution, they had over 600,000 people detained. Nobody told them to free them. When the South Africans were jailing people in center during their apartheid, they didn't call on them to free Nelson Mandela and others. Instead, they kept propping up the apartheid regime. And Mr. Pierre, you seem to be peddling the propaganda from the U.S. about no in Cuba.
Caller, make your point. You see, you're attacking me. I'm not attacking you. I take a chance to speak. Make your point.
Mr. Pierre, you keep peddling propaganda.
Let me ask you a question. Do you agree that Cubans should be in prison without charge, trial, or opportunity to defend themselves?
Mr. Pierre,
do you agree with that?
They were charged. They were tried.
3,000.
Mr. Pierre,
3,000 Grenadians was in jail. What's about the women from St. Patrick that will walk on the back? You agree with that? Does the women, Carla, do you agree when they put the women down, lie down on the belly and walk on the back? You agree with that, Carla? You have to make up your mind whether we want to change the country. When the United States fight the British, you saying that because they kept people in prison, we should do it now? The United States put 100,000 Japanese in concentration camp in World War II. You agree? United States must do that? No. So Adolf Hitler was right? Carla, what's wrong with you? Cuba have had the revolution for over 60 years. What if over 60 years you have people in prison and you don't want to have election? You don't want to give people an opportunity to determine what direction they want to go. Or how you could be right. We have an example in Grenada here. Grenadians supposed to lead the solidarity call to free Cubans in prison. You know what it is for a mother and father to be jailed and the children outside? We had the experience here in one of the villages in St. Andrews. Three children was left in the woods. The PRA pick up their parents. And I am the first one to tell you they didn't see the children. The children was in the ghetto and the parents was in a different place. And when the PRA go in the woods, they fire and gun. So who they hold, they take a truckload and go down. And a couple days after, Rasta who run, go in and look to see who survived and who dead. And they met the 3 little children in the woods. 2 girls and a boy of Indian descent. Is that right? What Maurice Bishop put the Rasta men in concentration camp for? China doing that with the Uja people? How who could support that? Yes, scholar. You lost that, scholar?
Mr. Pierre, no, I'm there.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, Mr. Pierre, I'll ask you a question. Like, if you is a real diehard for a party, yeah, and a next party come in power, you think you go say you go give them a try? So,
but if you believe in the democratic system,
yeah, so we're doing a little thing now, and you know the people who have give the NDC a try. This is the real people at Balance. No, well they say that we do a little thing, and then we went by some people and thing, we do bus group style and thing, and then I then are laughing in my mind because when they complaining that them is NNP and they say they go give NDC a try. And this is the people right now, Mr. Pierre, who are bawling. So in my mind, are they laughing?
Color, don't laugh. Let me tell you why.
So in my mind.
Let me tell you why. Don't laugh in your mind. Both parties in Grenada have solid support. Then you have another group of people that change from time to time. So they are not solid supporters of NDC or NNP.
Okay.
But they are the ones that determine who win election.
Yeah, but Mr. Pierre, when in 2020 today, I support the NNP. And an NDC guy come telling me it's time for me to vote the NDC. And before I get upset to cause it, I just walk out from him because
Yes,
I can show NNP and somebody can convince me to vote for the NDC.
You must have a stronger conviction.
Okay.
But somebody else, perhaps with a greater talker, might have come and use different strategy. And say to you, we need our opposition in the country. We are saying anything bad one. But we need our opposition, and then we start to hear people saying they're voting for opposition. So there are different ploys and technique.
Because yesterday we hear a guy, are you finished? But are you still thinking? Well, he has some like,
you have to have a lot of tolerance and understanding, and you have to always be genuine and put love. It's hard.
You have to laugh because
but again, but you see, even when you laugh in your heart, it must not be at people. It's a very important thing.
It's people. When I see you check the people, I mean, you say you is a that something and somebody could come and convince you to do.
Well, we can just say who is there. The amount of that changes. People change their religious beliefs.
I don't change it at all.
That is the beauty of democracy. And we must always concern that the policy of the party will not put us in jail, because if some left-wing power now, radio station comes down Francis Pierre in jail.
Yeah, because every man they saying we saying wrong thing, and for the radio station to close down and go to jail, and you know understand. But what I'm trying to say, Mr. Pierre, I don't like nobody cannot convince me to do what I want.
But that is important because you have a conviction.
Yeah, nobody. Have a conviction.
Thank you, caller. Can sit there. You'll have to. We have a reading there post. We'll have to. Yes, so it's very important. Oh, somebody asking me if I'm okay with my Uncle Gary, who is Mongoose gang, shoot Alistair Strachan on the carnage, and also mother Maurice Bishop father. Maybe that is what he said. Well, I have always said to people that the alliance manufactured lies. Francis Pierre said that Maurice Bishop's father was shot by a friendly bullet. He was in Otto house. They was in a room, and somebody from the back shot him. Friendly fire. Maurice Bishop and them called, they said they know the policeman who shoot him. But when they reach in power, they never charge anybody. Yes, caller, welcome.
Mr. Pierre, good afternoon.
Yes, my brother.
And good afternoon to your listening audience. Now, Mr. Pierre, this statement you just made there about what Leslie Pierre said, this is not true.
But you see, caller, what's your quote? Caller, hold on a while.
Yeah.
Leslie Pierre said that publicly.
Yeah, he said.
And when he said that, none of them took him on.
I don't say no.
None of them did not challenge him.
What I'm telling you today, as we speak, there are policemen who are in Grenada today who could tell you who was there.
I have not met caller. No policeman could not have been in Otway House. Otway House was the den of the alliance. No policeman, unless he was a traitor.
Listen, okay, I'm not okay. You say what you say. I'm going to introduce you to a former policeman.
Please do.
who lives in Grenada.
Please do.
Yes, who could tell you that? Now, and what I'm saying, yes, we're talking about the people of Cuba. What I'm saying is that the people in Gaza, who is under the apartheid genocide that is Israeli state and control, they will glad to live in a place like Cuba, you know, and
we cannot put in more. So you don't put Gaza there.
I'm trying to tell you is that
we put Gaza there because
the people what is in Gaza today, they will be glad to be in prison in Cuba.
What is the position of the people, political prisoners in Cuba?
Well, listen.
Are you in solidarity that they should be freed?
Yes, of course. I believe that.
Don't you think the Caribbean government should call on Cuba to charge them, give them a free trial of freedom?
No, listen, man. Based on what the Caribbean government dealing with, when it comes to Donald Trump, and our situation.
I ain't talking about Donald Trump, I'm talking about Cuba.
Yeah, right now I believe the detainees for me in Cuba is I could put it on the back burner in contrast to what we're dealing with and what we.
But you know that is what the Americans calling for.
Yeah, but Allende in Chile was democratically elected too. Who killed him? Who murdered him?
I don't know.
You understand?
No, I don't know.
And what I'm saying is that if we can credit the revolution with our international effort here in Grenada, I'm saying that the end justifies the means, because many of these folks came from prison and they become prime minister, policy makers and ministers of government, and the government that they bitterly opposed, they was not able to do as
you see, if you say that, then you might go back and say the South African was right to keep Mandela in prison. You have to be consistent with what you say.
Well, listen, no, I don't want to spend too much time.
But you are going Gaza.
Yeah, I want to to the point. I could talk about another thing. But Mr. Pierre, my substantial point is this afternoon, my contribution is in support of the LGBTQ community in Grenada. From an individual standpoint, I like to refer to them as the lesbian and gay community.
You're supporting that community?
Yes. And Mr. Pierre, listen to this. If, to those who are listening, if your son or your daughter come to you now and say, Mommy, Daddy, listen, this is how I feel and this is, how I am. I see myself as being gay or being lesbian. That is your son and your daughter you love all your life. Would you throw them out of the house?
But the son that can change sex on you.
Yeah, would
you born with a sex? You will change sex?
Well, yeah.
I say you need a psychologist or mentor something. You're mad.
Well, yeah, you wouldn't abandon them.
No, you don't abandon them, but you don't tell them.
And this is...
You call the doctor. So you all have activity this evening?
Who, me?
As you said this evening.
No, today you would not abandon them.
They have an activity this evening?
No.
Oh.
You will still share the same love that you have for your son and your daughter.
Tough love.
A lesbian.
When they come and tell me this thing is tough love.
No, Mr. Pierre, when we put our lifetime savings in the bank, do we ask if the bank manager is gay or lesbian?
No. That's a total different thing.
Yeah, no, I'm making a point.
Yes, no, that's a different issue.
No, listen. I'm making this point to arrive at my punchline. For so understand what I'm saying. So I don't want to be don't cut me off too much. When you go to you don't ask who is gay or lesbian, you have your lifetime savings in there. When you go to the cooperative bank and the line is long, when you get up to the counter, and you get your professional and exceptional good service that exceeds your expectation, you don't think of if this person is gay or lesbian. Understand? Now, Mr. Pierre, when you go to your gynecologist and they have the hand up in your womb looking for the fill-up on
Chief. Be careful when you listen to me.
No. You don't.
Come on, I'm a male. You can't listen to me.
No, these are all body parts I'm talking about.
Me talking about what about you? A lot of people don't know they want a material good to assist you flat So I'm not in time for that.
All right. So when you go to your doctor to do a physical prostate examination, you know.
According to the doctor, we don't go to it. Or something when you watch the doctor and you're mad.
When you see
you find the doctor looking.
When you put any gloves on your
No.
white jelly.
That's a real different thing.
What I'm saying, you don't ask him if he is this or that.
That's a different thing.
Let me make the point now.
Make the point.
Yes, now, if the country is running properly, if the economy is growing, if job creation is taking place, if health is improving in a significant way, and if the budget is in a balanced mode of production, that means the country is in a good state. Does it matter to us if we have ministers of government that is gay or lesbian? No.
Yes, thank you, Color. Thank you. Color, I've learned. Don't envy them. Don't jealous them. You never could tell if they get it from the devil in hell. And sometimes things look so good, but the people who involved in it are evil. And you, as leaders, local leaders, community leaders, civil leaders, you cannot tell people you're getting good food, you're getting milk, you're getting drinks, so keep yourself quiet. It doesn't matter who give you. That is why they was able to go and give mirrors and little shrinklets and silvers, and them African leaders sold us in slavery. We have to be concerned about the quality, the morality, the policy, the utterances of the government. So I don't care who Deacon is. Whether Deacon share $6 billion in the country, when Deacon looking for the real NDC is wrong. Yes, Scholar, welcome.
Mr. Pierre, good. I have one question for you. Basic fundamental question. Do you believe it is right for one country to interfere in the internal affairs of another country?
No color.
No color. Yeah. But Mr. Pierre, you are promoting and advocating that Caribbean leaders should encourage the Cubans to free the Cubans that are in prison.
Color. The Caribbean leaders are parasites. Color. Come on. The Caribbean leaders are using.
Can't deal with.
All right, color.
You just say you don't be.
Thank you. You see this cheap, this cheap psychology you trying me. Ask me a question when I ask. The Caribbean leaders are using Cuban citizens for medical purposes. You're supposed to concern how these Cuban citizens are treated. Come on. Yes, caller, welcome.
Hello, Mr. Pierre.
Yes, my brother, welcome.
Yes, I was saying concerning Chester Humphrey. He did not speak half truth, but he spoke half of the truth, which is very bad.
Half of the truth.
Now, also, concerning the death of Maurice Bishop's father, I read in a document that when he got shot, his wife, Alimenta Bishop, called on Adonis Francis, who was a top police officer, and they immediately rendered support by taking him to the hospital. So if the police and the other gay men was concerned about killing Bishop's father, they would not have taken such quick step to take him to the hospital. Unfortunately, he did not live.
Yes, scholar. No, we as a people, we cannot say we don't concern about the Cubans. Yes, scholar, welcome.
Hey, Mr. Pierre.
Yes, scholar.
How you doing, man?
Good, man.
Mr. Pierre, my experience in growing up in Grenada, Trinity, America and Canada, what's wrong with our way of life in Grenada? That we always have to try to change things and it don't work out good. When you look our neighboring country next to it, I don't see nothing different to the way of life. We always have to have something introduced to us and it don't end up the right way, man. Mr. Pierre, if we lose this heaven, man, if we lose this heaven, things wouldn't be the same again, man. Things wouldn't be the same again. I just scrolled inside Cuba and I just said to myself, oh my God, I don't see no new vehicle inside Cuba and I just destroy something else. Oh, it's the only thing inside Cuba is, it seems like when the American left, they love lots of antique convertible, lots of that. But the activities with young things inside Cuba, no, I don't think, but his brother and them say they're going to, they want to implement all what was in the revolution. That is what they want to give us. That is what they want to give us. They want to have mothers crying again. They want to start locking up Grenadians again. That's it, all right?
Right. Thank you. You see, we have to be careful. You cannot say, yes, caller, welcome.
Hello, Brother Pierre.
Yes, caller, welcome. Yes, good to hear your voice.
Oh, that's nice. I just wanted to take you back on the subject of Maurice Bishop's father's death. I've heard you, and I agree with the caller who called you back there, sort of refuting your views with respect to what Leslie Pierre might have said. I was on the corner, and this business of police getting in the building, what happened when Maurice's father got shot? The Tonton McCool came down on the Janet truck, and they were trying to break into Otway House. And Maurice Bishop's father stood on the inside of the building trying to hold the door so that they would not break it. And I was right there standing with Ralphie, because I was present when Ralphie got his hand broken by one of the guys. And with Maurice Bishop's father in the building, the police officer whom I knew and whom I grew up with shot through the door. I could call him.
Come on, caller. This thing you're saying because of movie. And if you because of movies, a movie. Which Janet Chuck you talking about?
I was right there, Francis, and I'm telling you what I saw. As a matter of fact.
Why do you believe Maurice Bishop, when he was in power, never charged the policemen? You had so much of you all say that all you saw. Why didn't you charge him?
This is not the question.
No, that is the question. We are saying.
Let me answer you. They did not charge the police because shortly after that incident occurred, that guy was shipped away. I grew up with the guy. I grew up with the police officer. I knew him well. That at me all.
I don't agree with you. Don't agree with you at all. I don't agree with you. I don't believe he was there. There was no Janet Chuck there. No Janet Chuck.
Here you're dreaming.
I'm not dreaming. There was no Janet Chuck. I'm telling you, there was no Janet Chuck.
There were about 2 or 3 Janet trucks that came there loaded with guys with 2x4. There was other trucks with
but why Maurice Bishop never charged the people he claimed that he had empirical evidence for?
They did not charge the guy because he was shipped away.
Stop that.
Immediately after that.
Stop that, Colin. Stop that.
I tell you what.
I don't believe you.
Well, you don't have to believe them. Yeah. You see, the same way you back Israel and back Trump, it seems to me that you have a talk show where you dominate your show. You don't listen to people's opinion. You insist on your own views, and that's not the way to run a talk show. You don't believe me? Do your research, and then you might be in a better position. Have a nice day, brother.
Yes, caller, thank you. And it's the first time you take that position, me, because you always say I listen to people. At that day in question, my question is Maurice Bishop, the Alliance had a battery of lawyers. The majority of them were lawyers. Now, if they claim they had empirical evidence, why they did not test it in the court? Yes, caller, welcome.
Good afternoon, Mr. Pierre.
Yes, my brother.
That man we just talked he talking stupidness. Let me tell you something. I stand up by Hubbard's garage. And them fellas come out from Mount Royal singing, Joel, behave yourself, they go charge us some money. He didn't have no truck. Them fellas swing down there, they come down and they meet the crowd down there. I could tell you how the first thing happened. The same Ralphie went in Outway Yard. He pelted a stone. Greenface stand up on the sidewalk with a 25 and he shoot a bullet in the air. And that really back and house start. I could tell you how he started. And I could tell you the man that shoot Bishop. But the man we're talking about, Janet Chuck, he didn't know Janet Chuck there. Them fellas jump from Mount Royal, coming down, singing, do it, behave yourself, we go try out some murder. I could tell you all what happened.
Yes,
stupid.
Yeah. You know, it's always challenge. Yes, caller, welcome. We lost that caller. And it's to tell you how much we need to talk about these issues. Grenada have to talk about these issues. There's a lot of different views. And when I speak about it, that's why I quote Leslie Pierre. Because Leslie Pierre and Eric Pierre was part of the issue. And they were not Garyites. They was vehemently against Gary. And Leslie Pierre made that statement publicly. And no one challenged him then. I wasn't wrong there. I don't know what happened exactly. But I choose to quote Leslie Pierre because Leslie Pierre was from their camp. Just as when I speaking about Tillman Thomas and the NDC, you're more likely to hear me quote a strong NDC. When scholars say I can't defend you, I listen to scholar. Nobody can defend NDC with the wrongs that they did. Scholars say, we can't defend you. And he gave a number of reasons in his song why he couldn't defend them. When Deacon promised 50,000, and then he says 15, this is a cheap old dance trick. You say, I will give you $15 for 10 of us to go in, and then you want 40 to go in, and the man arguing, I tell you it's 15, and you say it's 50. That's a cheap trick. So when Deacon said $50,000 for the Calypsonian, 50 years of independence, a man of scholar caliber, not me. Scholar is a bright man. He had plenty certificate. And if he got fooled by Deacon, if he was deceived by Deacon, then who is me? So when Mia Motley and Ralph Gonzalez cussing America in a most combative manner, I am asking the question, is Cuba exploiting the medical doctors? Yes, caller, welcome. We lost that caller. Caller, call again. Is Cuba exploiting the medical doctors? Could a medical doctor come here with his wife and the children? Yes, caller, welcome. Okay, so somebody having some challenge getting on to us. The best thing to do is to... Yes, caller, welcome.
Yes, good afternoon, Mr.
Yes, my brother.
Well, I don't have no challenge with the phone. But what I'm saying is that this backward and forward, and we can't get the right of it. The best thing I feel is to document the thing with what they know what going on already and lead that Morris Bishop thing to rest. When certain time children are growing up, they could get to know, well, look at what happening in this Grenada. Because this backward and forward, you don't even know people no way. Only back, go front, go behind, come back sideways, and you can't get it shoot because some of different people, even though you had it shoot, but you haven't tied up in it.
After the 1983 debacle, the government, I think it was under Kit Mitchell, started the Truth and Reconciliation Commission for the exact purpose what you see. They say, let us come to the conclusion that something happened that we didn't proud of, we didn't like of. People come and give evidence, and then you pardon, and we will try to live in peace. Not as much people as they would like went to it. They had 2 volumes of the books. But then Deacon invoked Maurice Bishop's spirit. So Deacon brought it back. And all the Marxists, Leninists, and communists, they see an opportunity, and then you hear them saying, close down the radio station, jail people, hang people in the street.
Yes.
They send drones to intimidate Jenny Simon. And Deacon introduced restorative justice. So
to get somebody who could send back spirit.
Well, so you understand, Color? Color,
hey.
That's why this discussion is taking place.
Well,
the NDC got to interfere with it.
What, you don't want nobody who could send back the spirit of Maurice Bishop?
Well, that's why we're talking about it.
Well, who was, well, in Grenada, you hear anything about the people who could send it back?
Color, that's why we have to have the discussion. People must know.
Yeah, as far as I see, it's just backward.
Yes, listen. Yes, Color, welcome. You have to listen. Grenadians must know. Listen to these issues. You do not want that to happen in Grenada again. One of the pertinent issues in the Caribbean now is the Cuban medical program. We have benefited immensely from the program. The Americans are challenging the program. Yes, Scholar, welcome.
Good afternoon, Mr. Pierre.
Yes, my brother.
Yes. I don't think and I don't believe that the program that the Cubans have is slave labor. I would, for example, I'll draw an example. How do we call the program that the Americans and the Canadians have, right? Inviting persons to come and pick the apples and the grapes and the whatever every year. Isn't that a program that they open so they can get persons to provide the labor and they pay them in return? The government gets a portion out of it. They comes home with a portion of it. So, I mean, when you compare those two things, I don't see the difference.
Then, Color,
yes.
Then the government of Grenada and the Caribbean must not be afraid to explain that to the public and answer the questions. Could a Cuban doctor bring his family in Grenada when he here working?
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Well, the argument is no.
Mr. Pierre, there is evidence right here in Grenada. And I'll get evidence for you that there are doctors here that have their family here.
Caller.
I'm listening.
Caller, the Caribbean government must able to defend the program. Not only, Caller, they must able to defend the program to us. Because we asking question too.
I agree with you.
The arguments the Americans are arguing that these programs are principally used for Cuba to get foreign exchange.
But
that they're exploiting the workers.
But the Americans arguing that. They have nothing to do with that.
Well, Caller, don't say the Americans don't have nothing to do with that. What do you mean?
Okay.
So how you mean they don't have nothing to do with that?
Well, okay.
The Americans have a blockade on Cuba for 60 years. And the Caribbean government always asking the Americans to lift the embargo. And the Americans telling them why we don't lift in it. Cuba is not, the trade union in Cuba is not free.
Mr. Pierre, we know all of that. We know all of that, what you're saying. 60 years of embargo and the country is still standing. They're still providing health services and other services to other countries around the world.
They're not going to lift the embargo then. Continue.
Well, if the Americans want to keep on doing it, that's up to them.
Well, they're doing it.
But Mr. Pierre, you must understand and remember, basically, who is pushing that whole thing against the Cubans?
The Caribbean governments have to provide answers for the people.
Mr. Pierre,
are they using exploited labor?
Mr. Pierre, I understand what you're saying. The Caribbean leaders have to explain that.
They must explain.
Right? They have to explain.
And I'm not joking, you're asking them nothing.
And defend it. I agree with you. You understand? But we have to remember, persons like Marco Rubio, who has...
Marco Rubio is a Cuban?
Oh, he is a Cuban American.
Well, how much thousands of Cuban are in America?
Okay.
They run from Cuba. They say they run from heavy manners and slavery.
But how many millions remain?
Well, those women can't go. And you know that, Color. You can't leave Cuba and go just so. Color, you know that every US dollar you try to change in Cuba, they charge you 20 or 25% of the US dollar? You know that?
I don't know that.
Yes, if you go.
I spend US dollars in Cuba.
I go in Cuba, I live in hotel in Cuba. You know. And when I spend money, you take on about 25% night. They take out a portion. They say there is penalty.
But Mr. Pierre, understanding what is going on, I am definitely in support of the Cuban process. However, as you rightly said, our governments must come out and defend it and explain to its people what is going on.
The Americans is accusing Cuba of exploiting the labor.
I don't think so.
Well, I'm not saying you think so, the Americans think so.
Yeah.
All we know, we kill him. We eye fix, we heart sick, we glad.
But do they have proof of what they're saying, or they're just making blanket statements?
Right, okay. Well, we come to almost the end of the program, and you was the last scholar. And it's a conversation that I believe we must continue with, Evan. Yeah, I believe we must continue with this conversation. The Cuban medical program have assisted Grenada and other Caribbean countries immensely. The United States of America is challenging the program. They claim that the program is exploitive to Cuban workers. They claim that trade union in Cuba is non-functional. They claim that freedom of the press is non-functional. And it's difficult to get a Cuban to say a word on this program. Sometimes they're afraid the Cuban government lock them up in jail. We have hundreds, I don't know how much, a lot of Cubans in jail. They're languishing and dying in prison. How that could be right? Caribbean governments must not be in solidarity with the Cuban government alone, but they must be in solidarity with the people of Cuba. Grenadians have a right to be concerned about Cubans in jail. We know how we feel when we parents and we friend was in jail. Come around, my partners in jail. Hardly could get them to drink around, they're afraid. People afraid to talk to you because they go end up with heavy manners. So as we come to this program, obviously, we have to have a lot of discussion on these issues, and we mustn't be afraid to discuss these issues. We just have to do it respectfully. We have difference of opinion, speak about it. And we want the Caribbean government to give us more information on what is what percentage you have to pay the Cuban, what percentage you have to pay the government, and answer some of the questions that the Americans have in the arguments against the program. And we're happy to be with you today. We encourage you to share our program, subscribe to the program, like our program, and you don't have to agree with us. Thank you very much.
And in the West Indies, I say Grenada, please. Overwhelmingly glad we are to